Kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to day 1323 for the Before the Dirt Nap podcast. Today we're talking about 10 things to experience in New Zealand. Now, this is an interesting exercise because I got introduced to these AI things that you put stuff in and it types stuff out. And so I thought, well, let's give it a go and see what pops out. So I asked it to create a list of 5 things to experience in New Zealand. And I thought, well, those are pretty cool. Then I said, can you give me another 5? And it gave me another 5. And I'm so like, okay, these are pretty much the well-known stuff. But, let's talk about it tonight and see what happens, see where it goes. And of course, being from New Zealand, I'll throw my own little thoughts and things in about everything else. So we are looking at 10 things to experience in New Zealand according to, which one did I use? One of the AI programs. No, that's not the name of it. It's ChatGPT, I think is what it's called. But anyway. And so it came up with these 10 different things. So here we go. We're going to go down the list of the 10. I thought it was kind of an interesting exercise just to see what will it come up with. And it's actually it actually came up with 2 pretty good lists, 5 in each. So it says number 1 is Milford Sound. Take a cruise or kayak through Milford Sound, located in Fiordland National Park on the South Island. It's known for its stunning scenery, and including waterfalls, sheer cliffs, and wildlife such as dolphins and seals. And I will tell you this, I have sailed Milford Sound a few times. It is incredible. I call it Misty Mysterious Milford because I have never been there on a clear sunny day. And if you've seen pictures at the beginning of Milford Sound from where the pier is that you get on the boats to go and sail, they've got Midas Peak there. And Midas Peak is just this triangular rock-shaped formation. I have never seen Midas Peak. It has always been under cloud whenever I've gone to Milford Sound, which is why I call it Misty Mysterious Milford, because I know it's hiding a lot of stuff in there that's under cloud. And so I know that there's more stunning stuff to see. So I have yet to see it. And I've been in the middle of summer. I have been in winter. I've been at different times of the year. It has always been cloudy, sometimes a little rainy. We got to see some fantastic, what they call rainfalls, because they only come out when it's raining. But there's all these beautiful waterfalls. And to hear that the heights of these waterfalls are higher than Niagara Falls, it is hard to comprehend because you don't have anything to give you a size thing on that. So that's my experience in Milford Sound is it's misty and it's mysterious and it's always under cloud whenever I'm there, and I've never seen Midas Peak. Let's see. Number 2, Tongariro Alpine Crossing. It's a 19.4 kilometer. Sorry, I didn't translate this beforehand. Hike is located on the North Island and takes you through a volcanic landscape with views of Mount Narahoe, or aka Mount Doom in Lord of the Rings films. The hike takes about 6 to 8 hours to complete and considered as one of the best day hikes in the world. I have not done this crossing yet, but I have seen all the write-ups for it. I've seen photographs of it along the way. I can tell you that Mount Narahoe is an active volcano. So that can sometimes cause, but it's not active as in it's always erupting. It's just active in the fact that it hasn't been as quiet as long as it takes before it's considered sleeping or extinct or anything like that. Mount Narahoe is next to Mount Ruapehu is next to Mount Narahoe. And there's been times that, and I remember times that they were talking about the temperatures in the lakes in the peak of Mount Narahoe. And every now and again, you'd see this little burp, which would be a little black burp on the white snow at the top there. It means it's had a little minor eruption, but there hasn't been any major eruptions from either of these mountains. But yeah, so if you ever want to know Mount Doom and Lord of the Rings, you can actually walk the trail that will give you really great views of Mount Narahoe. Let's see. And I love driving along the desert road and seeing Mount Ruapehu, Mount Narahoe, and Mount Tongariro, all the 3 of them lined up there. And there's a great story about those 3 mountains that relates to Mount Taranaki, which is a mountain I lived near for 6 years. about how Mount Tongariro and Mount Taranaki had this fight over Piha, who is a smaller hill mountain that's near these three mountains, and Mount Taranaki ended up being banished out to where it sits today. So there's a great myth, Maori myth about that. Number 3 on their list is Hobbiton movie set. Visit the Hobbiton movie set located in Matamata on the North Island. This is where many scenes from the Lord of the Ring and the Hobbit movies were filmed, and you can take a guided tour of the set. There is only a guided tour you can do of the set. It cannot be self-guided, which includes a visit to Bag End and the Green Dragon Inn. I have to tell you, the trip to Hobbiton is incredible. I got to do it back in 2015 when we had there was a group of 8 travel professionals, and then we had a representative from Air New Zealand Vacations and a representative from Air New Zealand that took us for 3 nights to the Cook Islands and 3 nights in New Zealand. And part of our time in New Zealand was we got to go and visit Hobbiton, and we had so much fun. There was just the 10 of us in our group, and our group was our private group tour through the Hobbiton, and it's always a guided tour because it is a movie set. Self-guided is not going to work because they tell you why there are Hobbit houses that are a quarter of the size, a half of the size, a third of the size, full size. The gardens there are still active, still real active gardens. It's where a lot of the produce for the Dragon Inn, the Green Dragon Inn comes from. And it's just incredible because they take you through. And when you're standing at one point and you're looking back out over, you're standing up on a hill, then you're looking out over Hobbiton and out over the rest, over the farmland that's all around it and everything else. You've got east here, west here, and in the movie, it's the other way around. East is west and west is east. And they talk about how they make that, happen in the movies. And for those of you who are gardeners or you know anything about moss and how moss grows in the shade, it doesn't grow on the sunny side of wood and everything else. We're going past these wooden fences that are covered in moss in full sunlight. And they tell us how they keep the moss growing despite the fact that it's on the sunny side of the fence. So there's lots of these little things, and even in Hobbiton, there's even a fake tree there, and they ask you to pick out the fake tree, and every leaf on that tree was hand painted. And once it was completed, the story goes that Peter Jackson looked at it and says, it's the wrong shade of green, it needs to be repainted. And they had to take down every single leaf and repaint every single leaf again a different shade of green, so that it looked more real, more lifelike. So yeah, you learn a lot in Hobbiton, and the meal in the Green Dragon Inn is incredible food. It's all fresh, all the fresh fruits and vegetables come out of the gardens on site, and it's a very cool experience. So number 4 they have on the list is skydiving. I am not a skydiver. I will tell you that straight up. There is no way. I don't see I know that there's an adrenaline rush that people love, that adrenaline. I am not one that jumps out of a perfectly good airplane with a piece of silk on my back. That's not for me. But for skydiving, for those who experience, and I know many people who have jumped many times and absolutely love skydiving. I love the thrill of it, and more power to them. I'm not one of those people, but if it's something they enjoy, they have number 4 is skydiving. Experience the thrill of skydiving over some of New Zealand's most beautiful landscapes, such as Lake Taupo on the North Island or Queenstown on the South Island. You get stunning views of mountains, lakes, and forests as you free fall and then glide back to Earth. And I know that you will get incredible views. I have flown over some of these things, so I know the views they're talking about from flying over them in a plane and not jumping out. But I know there are people who absolutely love the thrill of skydiving, and, you know, if that's how they get their thrills and everything else, more power to them. It's not mine. Anyway, number 5 is the Maori cultural experience. Learn about the culture and the history of New Zealand's Indigenous people, the Maori, by attending a cultural performance or visiting a marae, which is a meeting house. You can also try traditional foods like a hangi, which is a meal cooked in an earth oven. Okay, earth oven is a hole dug in the ground. They put heated rocks at the bottom, The food that takes the longest to cook, which is the meat, goes down first. Then the vegetables that take all your tubular root vegetables that then take longer to cook, up to the ones that don't take so long to cook. And then they bury the whole thing. Now, if you've ever seen a luau, that's cooked above the ground and buried. In the Māori culture, they actually dig a hole and put the food down in a hole. And the food's all wrapped up and everything else. But I will tell you this, it is the most tender, the meat is the most tender meat I have ever had in my entire life. I love going to a good hangi. The food is incredible. The meat literally melts in your mouth. The vegetables have this earth taste to them, which is outstanding. It is an incredible experience to eat any food cooked in a hangi. I love it. Or you can learn to do the haka, which is a traditional Māori dance. And if you want to know what a haka is, go onto YouTube and put New Zealand All Blacks haka. And the New Zealand All Blacks always do a haka at the beginning of any game that they are playing. And it's a way to, kind of like a way to like intimidate the opposition, because that's basically what a haka is. It's the warriors going into battle, and they do it through voice and actions and things like that. And it's really incredible to watch a really good haka. I can't say any more about it. It's an incredible thing to watch and to experience if you're watching a haka live. And there's times that I would sit and watch rugby games with my dad, because the All Blacks is a New Zealand rugby team, and you could feel the energy coming through the TV, but because of the haka they were doing and the way they were filming it, it is incredible to watch. Okay, so that was the first 5 things. So then I asked this chat thing to give me, this AI thing to give me another 5 things. And so the first 5 it gave us were Milford Sound, Tongariro, Alpine Crossing, Hopper movie set, skydiving, and Māori cultural experience. So then I said, give me 5 more things to experience in New Zealand. Excuse me. And so then it gave me another 5. And Abel Tasman National Park. It's located at the top of the South Island. Abel Tasman National Park is known for its golden beaches, clear blue waters, and scenic hiking trails. You can go kayaking, take a boat tour, or hike the Abel Tasman Coast Track, which takes 3 to 5 days to complete. Now, I know my parents just did a walk in that area, but I don't know which track I don't remember which track they were on. They were on a guided walk, which was 3 days. I don't know which one it's on, but I also know too that they've done other tracks within the Abel Tasman National Park. It is an incredible place. The beaches really are golden beaches. The sand in that area looks like gold when you go to those beaches, and you've got this crystal clear blue water out there coming up on golden sand. There's places in New Zealand where you get the normal grey looking sand. There's places in New Zealand, especially along West Coast, where you will get black looking sand that actually contains iron. And in some of those, and that's why it's black. And in some of those places, you can actually take a magnet, run it over the sand, and it will pull the iron out of the sand. And you'll have iron sand on your on the magnet. I have seen that done. I have actually done it myself. But these ones here, the beaches just look like ribbons of gold with crystal clear blue waters just washing up on them. There are kayak trips that you can, I have not done these kayak trips, but there are kayak trips that you can do where you go into one cove, and you will get the New Zealand fur seals jumping, coming up on the kayaks. And looking at you, and they'll come up behind you, they can come up in front of you, they can come across you, that sort of thing too. But the guides there will tell you, if this happens, this is what you need to do. And it has scared some people when you're just kayaking along and you're just in this beautiful cove, and all of a sudden your kayak starts rocking, and you turn around and there's a New Zealand fur seal. And these are small fur seals. They're small little ones. And they're up on the kayaks with you. So those are some of the things that you may experience while you're there. Number 2 on the second list is Waitomo Glowworm Caves. Oh, I love this place. Explore the magical underground world of Waitomo Glowworm Caves of the North Island. You can take a guided boat tour through the caves, where you will see thousands of tiny glowworms lighting up the darkness like stars. The only thing I can liken it to here in the States is when you have fireflies and they've got their little lights going, but they're still, and they're, think of it this way. You're in a cave, you're on a boat, you're looking up at a starry sky, even though you're in a cave. That's what it looks like. When you, when you're in the boat, and you have to be very, very quiet. They are so strict about how quiet you have to be. You can't even whisper, nothing, no noise, because any noise, those glowworms will turn their little lights off. So they are very strict about that. And Waitomo glowworm caves, you've got the ones that you can walk through where you see the stalactites, the stalagmites, and you get walking through the different caverns and things. And then the last thing is that you go down, get on these boats, and the guide is actually in the boat, and he's pulling you along by a rope at the top. There's no oars, no motors, and he's pulling the boat along through the caves outside into the outside area, and you have to be quiet. It is an incredible experience. They also have other experiences there at the glowworm caves that you can do, different ways you can see them, like going tubing. You're sitting on rubber tubes going through the caves as well. There's another way that you can do that. And they've got some other experiences that you can hear at Waitomo, but the glowworm caves is the most popular one that you see. Okay, number 3 on list number 2 is Waiheke Island. Take a ferry from Auckland to Waiheke Island, a picturesque island known for its vineyards, beaches, and art galleries. You can go wine tasting, enjoy a beach picnic, or take a scenic walk along one of the island's many trails. I have not been to Waiheke Island. But it is one of the well-known wine places in New Zealand. If you're hearing that rumbling, it's 2 jets coming into land. 2 fighter jets coming into land at Luke Air Force Base. And they're flying in close formation as well. I love running out and watching them. But there's many places in New Zealand that you can get wine that are known for their wines as well. So there's Waiheke Island are known for their wines. There's the Hawke's Bay area is known for wines as well. There's the Marlborough Wines, which is at the top of the South Island. But there's another place on the south end of the North Island. Oh my gosh, it's totally escaped me. I know there's Martinborough there, and for the life of me, can't think of the name of the area. Man, that's totally escaped. And even around Queenstown. There's wineries around there as well. So there's different places in New Zealand that grow the wines and everything else. And you can actually do a wine and food tour through New Zealand, going to different wineries, experiencing the different wineries, different foods of New Zealand. And you will get foods that are, you get some amazing foods on the food and wine tour as well. I have actually hooked up clients to do food and wine tours throughout New Zealand, and they have absolutely loved it. Come back, and based on which area you're going to, as to which type of wine those areas are known for. Are they known for, they're known for the reds or the Sauvignon Blancs, the Pinot Noirs, the white. I'm not a wine drinker, so please excuse me for not knowing much about this, but I have helped many people do food and wine tours of New Zealand, and they've come back amazing because I have the right contacts who know the winery scene a little better than I do. But I do know that if you go to certain areas, there's a different type of wine that is well known from that area. I can't remember where Martinborough is. It's over the hill from State Highway 1 goes this way. It goes up State Highway 2. Oh my gosh, my parents are going to be shocked I've forgotten that bit. It'll come back to me when I get offline. I can tell you right now. Number 4 on list number 2 is Mount Cook. Mount Cook is visit Mount Cook, the highest mountain in New Zealand, located in the Southern Alps on the South Island. You can go hiking, skiing, or take scenic flights over the mountain and the surrounding glaciers. Now, you quite often see the Southern Alps in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, where they do the aerial shots, and you've got those snow peaks all the way along that just seem to go on for miles. That is all in the Southern Alps, and Mount Cook is our highest peak. It actually lost a lot of its top one year. There was this massive shake-up and avalanche one year, and quite a few meters fell off the top of the mountain. And I actually used to have a sweatshirt that had this thing about Mount Cook on it. It had the height written on it. And I remember when this happened, I looked at the sweatshirt and go, oh, that's one of those historical shirts that you got to keep because it used to be that height. So yeah, there was an era time, but it's absolutely stunning to go up there to Mount Cook. There's a road that you can take that goes up the side of Lake Pukaki. Pukaki. It takes you up to Mount Cook, and they've got the Hermitage, which is the 5-star resort there at the base of the mountain. There's also a Mount Cook village in behind where there's other places that you can stay in, hostels and hotels and stuff. But there's a lot of walking trails that will start there and go off up into the mountains. One year I did a plane ride. I got a free plane ride because it comes down to contacts. And we were on the ski planes coming in and out of Mount Cook Airport. And we got on the ski plane and went up onto Tasman Glacier, which butts into Mount Cook. And that was an experience being on a glacier. I'd never been on a glacier before, but it was a really cool experience. They flew us up there. They landed there. They forgot to tell us to stay in the plane tracks. So I'm sitting in the back of the plane. I get out of this little prop plane that holds like, was there five of us in there. I was in the back. There was a Korean couple in the seat in front of me. My ex-husband was sitting in the passenger seat and the pilot was in the other seat. And we get there. And of course, by the time I get out of the plane, I'm the last one to get out. I just figured it's snow. It'll hold me. It's fine. I jumped out of the plane straight up to thigh deep snow. And I'm standing there roaring with laughter. And there's this group and all the Koreans had gone over and into this little area and they're all just standing there huddled and looking around and they're all like cold and all this. My ex-husband and I were just playing in the snow. We're throwing snowballs, we're taking photos, we're looking all around, we're not staying in the plane tracks. And the pilot said to us afterwards, yeah, I forgot to tell you to stay in the plane tracks. We said, kind of figured that one out. But it was a fantastic day up on Tasman Glacier. And we got to fly around Mount Cook as well at the time too, so you got to see it up close. And then number 5 they have on list number 2 is Te Papa Museum. Oh my gosh. Explore the National Museum of New Zealand, Te Papa, located in Wellington in the North Island. Wellington is our capital. The museum offers interactive exhibits on New Zealand history, culture, and natural environment, as well as art collections and special exhibitions. I love visiting Te Papa. They have exhibitions there that will rotate. Went there, I think, yeah, Brad and I, one time when we were down there, we went and they had Egyptian mummies was the exhibit that was on there. So you got to go through this whole presentation. You did actually get to see the mummies. They were in special enclosed glass cases, so you could actually see the mummies. And there was this whole story about all the history behind doing the mummification, about the embalming that they did, the traditions that they have based on, I guess, social class, about what they were allowed to have in their tomb, what they were not allowed to have in their tomb, how they were embalmed, and that sort of thing. It was fascinating. I've seen other exhibits there. The last time I was, 2019, Christmas of 2018, on New Year's Day, we went down to Te Papa and we did the Gallipoli exhibition. Now, Gallipoli is a campaign that was fought by the Anzacs, and Anzac stands for Australian New Zealand Army Corps. And they invaded Gallipoli on the 25th of April, 1915. And had like this, I think it was 8 to 9 months battle. But this thing, you go in there, you get to hear the stories of some of the people. You go in, there are these giant, realistic looking statues of people. I mean, even down to the point that one guy I'm standing there looking to, you could see the hairs on his arms and there was a fly sitting on, I mean, you could see this, you know how when you see the skin cells and the hairs, that's how detailed these statues were. There was even a fly sitting on his hand as he was having his last meal, because he had actually been sentenced to death for treason for falling asleep while on patrol, but he actually got excused from the death penalty because he had just been released from the hospital and was put straight onto patrol that evening. And of course, he had been in hospital for, I don't remember what it was there, but he'd been in hospital, which had like drained his energy and everything else. And he comes out of there, he's still weak, he's very tired, you know, energy drained and all of that, and ended up falling asleep on duty that evening. And they were going to put him to death for treason, but then he was pardoned because of the circumstances. And you would see these things, and like I would put my hand, you didn't touch them, but I put my hand near one of their hands. These statues were like 3 to 4 times the size of humans. They were incredible. The detail was amazing, and you would see the scene with these statues in it. You would they would have an audio going about what was happening at the time. And you would see it being in the script going around the edge of the room as well. And then you would walk through from that statue, from that scene into this other area, and you got to meet these people in detail that had been in that scene you just come from, and you got to read the story even more detailed and learn about some of the circumstances they were in. You got to see the living conditions that they had. You got to hear where they actually had a model set up of the encampment that they had, like here's the firing line up here, and then you come down the hill and there was a hospital. You could see where they went to the bathroom. It was just basically a log across a pit. And it was, I mean, they said it would take that most people were going through in about 20 minutes. My parents and I, we were in there for about 2 hours. We were reading everything. It was incredible, the conditions that these guys went through. And so we celebrate Anzac Day on the 25th of April every year. And it was years later that it started to incorporate other campaigns that New Zealand had been involved in different wars and things over the years. So basically it's become our Memorial Day / Veterans Day rolled into one. So we give thanks for those who have passed, who paid the ultimate sacrifice, those that have passed since then, and also to those that are still serving. But Te Papa it's just a really cool place. You even get to experience an earthquake while you're there. And you go into this other room, and it's all like retro stuff, and that you get to sit. They have a variety of different seats that you can sit in, anywhere from armchairs to kitchen table seats, and all sorts of different seats that you can sit in. And then they have this display on that's got like old TVs and toasters and all the retro stuff from different eras and things, and they sort of come to life, and you hear the stories behind them and things like that. So that was kind of cool, because I was like, I remember us having that. I remember that. I remember us having that. And so it's kind of cool to go through there. And it's and then they even have like the fashions in New Zealand as well. And then they have an area of things that New Zealand invented that are out there in the world. So it's a really, really cool place to visit, and I love going there whenever I can. So there's the top 10. So the first 5 were Milford Sound, Tongariro Alpine Crossing, Hobbiton movie set, skydiving, Maori cultural experience. The second 5 were Abel Tasman National Park, the Waitomo Glowworm Caves, Waiheke Island, Mount Cook, and Te Papa Museum. So those are the 10 things that this AI chat thing came up with, which I thought was actually a pretty good list. What would happen if I asked it for another 5? Maybe I'll go back and do that and see what else it comes up with. But I'm not going to talk about that now. I've got a puppy that needs to go for a walk, and it stopped raining, so we can now go for a walk because she hates getting wet. But anyway, if you would like more information about New Zealand, please feel free to reach out and contact us, because we do the personalized trips down there. And the question I have for you is, what are some of the things in New Zealand you would like to experience or have experienced when you visited New Zealand? So leave your comments in the areas down below with your answers as to what you would like to experience or you have experienced in New Zealand. And that's it from us for today. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here at 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Hey, konara. Hi, sweetie girl.